Hi, I'm Elliot Cohen, and I'm happy to talk about my plant project that I call a depressed plant. It's basically, instead of a plant that waters itself, it's a plant whose goal is to dry itself out so that it can one day leave behind this cruel, miserable life that it lives, trapped in my house where I can't leave. And so, for me, who would like the plant to live, I having to fight against it constantly because unfortunately this plant has hacked into my heating system, and every time I go to water it, it turns on the heater in an attempt to dry itself out. And so that's the gist of my project. I've used an LCD screen to portray the plant's face, and it has different emotions based on whether or not it's happy that it's drying out, it's sad that it's not, or it's angry that I've shut off the heater. And I've used a soil moisture sensor, of course, to measure how uh, moist the soil is. And I'm not using a real heater. I'm using a set of orange and red and yellow LEDs to mimic the look of a heater. I think what I'm most proud of is is honestly kind of the idea because I spent forever trying to come up with something that's more than just a moisture sensor in a plant, and then it says, oh, the plant needs water, it plant doesn't need water. Like, I wanted to do something more fun for me than that, and I'm actually really proud of the idea that I came up with, even though it's really goofy and kind of out there. I think the biggest challenge of the project was fitting all of the components into the circuit board because I have like six different LEDs. The LCD screen has like 20 million different pins that need to be connected, and then I got to connect the soil moisture sensor and the button and it's just all of these things that crowded out my breadboard, and I couldn't. I was worried I was gonna run out of digital pins on my Arduino, and I think I only have like one or two left over at the end of it. But so that was a really big challenge, and the way that I solved it was I actually had a second breadboard left over from another thing, and so I instead connected my million LCD pins to that one, and then that into the Arduino pins. That way I could have one breadboard for the button and the heater, and then a different breadboard for the LCD screen, and then I kept them separated so that my wires weren't getting all crossed, and it wasn't just a whole nightmare. For any future students who are looking to do their plant project, I think my best advice would be to just don't be afraid to think out of the box. Like, you can of course go for the basic hello world, you know soil moisture sensor and a plant thing, but it can be really really fun if you come up with something just like totally out there, even if it doesn't make sense. There's nothing wrong with a project that doesn't make sense if it's fun for you to do. And so I think my advice would be don't be afraid to do something unconventional or to do something that has no practical purpose beyond being funny and like fun to do. If it's fun for you, then I think it's worth it, even if there's no real life purpose for a plant that wants to die. But anyway, that was my plant project, depressed plant, and it was a blast to work on. It was super fun and it's super goofy, and I love all of my stupid pictures of it.